Good evening, friends. Today we'll start with our psychology class. Continuing from what we had done in the last lecture of psychology, we were doing methods of psychology. Under that, we had seen experimental design, non-experimental design, and quasi or quasi-experimental design. Earlier, we had seen the methods of research and types of research. Under the types of research, we had seen that there are descriptive, evaluative, prognostic, and diagnostic research. Then, various methods like survey, observation, case study, then experiments. Under the experiments, we saw that there are mainly three types of methods used by psychologists in the research. These are experimental research or experimental design, then there is non-experimental design, and a midway quasi or quasi experimental design. Now, most of the questions which are asked by UPSC ask you regarding the conceptual understanding. And as I keep on reiterating the fact that yesterday I was talking to one of the aspirants from Punjab. She was like almost crying, sir, I have been trying to understand what to note, what to study, and how to design my concepts so that I can write an answer, but I failed to organize the matter. The thing is that it's quite sad that the way things have been made difficult without any accountability. This is the same thing which is faced by most of the students, because psychology is not a rocket science. I was talking to one of the DU professor. She is asking me to train the CUET aspirants who will be joining psychology courses. Psychology is a popular course. Many aspirants want to join that, but they don't have the quality psychology people. Psychology gives you a very good career opportunity also. But despite these things, despite the fact that psychology has got a very good overlap with the ethics, psychology is scoring also if it is made easy for the aspirants, if the applied part is also taught well. Psychology has been performing badly since last few years. The reason being the problem created by many of the teaching faculty themselves. So, we will, as we have been doing in the last few discussions, few classes we had, try to simplify the approach where you will get the conceptual understanding, the applied part also. The matter you will get as you are getting through the lectures will be precise so that you can understand it and write it in the test. Once we cover the research methods along with the methods of psychology which we are doing, after that we will cover research methods and the chapter 1 of paper 2, that is individual differences, that will cover your psychological tests. That after combining it with the introduction chapter, we will conduct a small test and you will realize that you will be able to write the test very easily in a free flowing manner, which should be the approach. Now we will come to the experimental design. We will revise experimental design, non-experimental design, and quasi or quasi-experimental design once again, so that you have absolute clarity. See, the basic motto of these classes is you understand the concept, it is revised in the classes itself, It gets registered in your mind, you note it down so that when you face the exam, you just straight away write the answer and come out of it. With flying colors, you get marks, that's it. No other motto. So, in the experimental design, the first and foremost thing which you have to understand why experimental design is there or why experimental research is conducted. The main motto of experimental research is having a cause and effect relationship. The first and foremost is having cause and effect relation in an objective manner. To establish this cause and effect relationship, it is important to understand how experimental research is done or how experimental design is made. What happens in experimental design? That there is a group of subjects. Suppose there are 100 subjects, 100 people. In our language, when we say subjects, when we say experimental unit, the smallest experimental unit is nobody but the person. So there are 100 subjects, 100 people. Now, what happens is that they are randomly assigned to two groups. One group is your experimental group, one group is your control group. This assignment of people, assignment of subjects is random. When we say random, what does it mean? With respect to age, gender, caste, creed or any other variable which experimenter or the researcher thinks might affect our result, with respect to all these variables, they are equally divided, 50 people here, 50 here. Experimental group is a group where the treatment is brought, that is IV manipulation is done. What is IV? IV is independent variable. When independent variable is introduced here, for example, as we were talking about, taking the example from the paper 2, as you know that it is always advisable to use programmed learning for the improved performance of disadvantaged section children. So, disadvantaged children when we include programmed learning, the performance of disadvantaged children. And who are the disadvantaged children? With respect to IQ, they may be having lower range IQ, or with respect to socio-economic status, they may belong to low socio-economic status. These two groups will be called disadvantaged children. Now, when program learning is introduced to them, what happens? Now, you see the process. The hypothesis is that what a researcher is looking for, the question of the researcher is that program learning improves the performance of, disadvantaged learners, DL. This is the question of the research. Now the researcher, what does he do? The researcher, being a social scientist, being a psychological researcher, will go with the null hypothesis as we indicate in form of HO. In the null hypothesis, researcher will say that program learning introduction has no effect on the performance of the disadvantaged learner. No effect. This is the null hypothesis, and the researcher will try to prove that it is wrong. This is the approach followed by the psychologist, the researcher in psychology. For this, the alternate hypothesis will be that it affects, that is, program learning improves the performance of disadvantaged learner. And another alternate hypothesis will be program learning decreases the performance of disadvantaged learner. Okay. Now, researchers' duty will be to ensure that this is proven wrong, and then this is also proven wrong. Then only this can be established that program learning is going to improve the performance of the disadvantaged learner. For this purpose, what they have done, two groups have been found. One is experimental group, another one is control group. In the control group, there are disadvantaged learners. In the experimental group, there are disadvantaged learners with respect to gender, with respect to socio-economic status, with respect to various other elements. These two groups are equal in all aspects. We have seen that there are various methods of doing so. First, a pair will be created. For every person in a disadvantaged group, there is an equal, a person who can be paired. There is one disadvantaged children. Another person, another child will be brought who is equal in all respects. Pair will be created, 50 pairs will be created, and the whole group of 100 subjects will be divided into two groups, experimental group and control group. Right? So, we have two equal groups in all aspects, as many boys, as many girls, as many children from low socioeconomic status and medium socioeconomic status, high socioeconomic status, all will be there. If we are talking about IQ, mixture of all sorts of subjects here and a mixture of all sorts of subjects here. In all aspects, they are equal. Now we have got the randomization. What is this called? This process is called randomization. Randomly choosing two groups with respect to all the variables which can affect the result. Now, what is the endeavor here? One thing we have understood, that IV, DV. What is the IV? IV in our case is program learning. What is DV? Dependent variable is performance of disadvantaged children. IV, DV, cause, objective, cause and effect. IV, DV, objective, cause and effect relationship is established. Second thing is randomization is done. Because there was no pre-existing group here. We created the group. The subjects were randomly sent to either control group or experimental group, randomly, without having any bias. Without showing any bias, we have sent it to two different groups in an unbiased manner randomly to either a control group or experimental group. We don't know who will go to which group. For that I have told you, if you remember, there are single blind and double blind. Single blind where the participants don't know in which group they belong to. Participants don't have any idea in which group they belong. Single blind. Participants don't. So that there are no experimental bias. Then double blind is there. Neither the participants nor the experimenter, neither the participants nor the experimenter knows in which group they are. Now what happened in single blind? Since the participants don't know in which group they belong to, there won't be demand characteristics. What is demand characteristics? Or social desirability? Demand characteristics or social desirability is a tendency of the participants to act in a favorable manner towards the researcher. If the participants know that they are in the control group, or the participants know that they are in the experimental group, even if they don't have any performance improvement because of inclusion of program learning, even if they did not get any improvement because of the inclusion of program learning, still their tendency will be to show that their performance has improved. They will be subconsciously they will be acting in favor of the researcher. Demand characteristics. Or if the researcher knows in which group which participant is, if the researcher knows that this is the experimental group, they will start showing tendency, they will start giving unconscious, subconscious suggestion to the subjects here, participants here, that you should perform better, or they may help them more than the program learning inclusion. They may, on their own, they may help them, they may start helping them so that their performance become better. This is called experimenter bias. So better idea is neither should the participant nor the experimenter know that in which group which subjects belong to. But there are certain situations, there are certain considerations in which experimenter must be told that these subjects belong to experimental group and these are the subjects of control group, because of the sensitivity of the experiment. because in some of the experiments the participants are briefed in a particular manner. They are told certain things which are actually lies. Suppose the experimenter wants to understand the placebo effect. Have you heard of this placebo effect? Experimenter says that you are being given an anesthesia. A local anesthesia is being given to you. Local anesthesia is given to you. Though you are giving only water to the subjects. Why it is being done? Just to see the effect of placebo. When the participants start showing drowsiness, then we understand that even if they have been given water, they are feeling better. They are feeling that the anesthesia is working. Now I am feeling drowsy. It happens with many people. In the name of a drug, in the name of medicine, they are just given sugar, small particles of sugar, चीनी की गोली दे देते. You must have seen this in homeopathy. Homeopathy is nothing. What is homeopath? They give you sugar balls, small sugar balls, and include some alcohol in it. Largely speaking, homeopath is this only. And people start feeling better. In the name of performance enhancement drugs, PEDs, many drugs are there in the market and many people are earning through it. So much grave is the situation. Everybody wants to perform well athletically, but they don't understand that this performance can be better only through two ways. One, making your heart stronger. Make your heart stronger through your cardio exercise. Make the blood flow through your body in a better manner. Have a healthy food, good lifestyle. There won't be any need of any performance enhancement drug at all, whatsoever your age might be. So to test that, the researcher says that we are putting up local anesthesia and see that people start behaving in that manner. So in some of the experiments, it becomes necessary either because of the design of the experiment or because of the ethical considerations that the researcher must know who are the subject in the experimental group. Because suppose because of the inclusion of certain drugs, there may be adverse effect on health, and the experimenter must know that we have to be very cautious as far as the experimental group is concerned. So they will keep an extra watch. But largely speaking, there is double blind. Neither the experimenter nor the participants know in which group who is there. So we have done what? To ensure IVDV, cause and effect relationship, randomization done. Now what happens because of this lab setting? Mostly it is done in the control situation. You see, because IVDV relationship is to be established in an objective manner, cause and effect relationship, Randomization is done. You see what is happening. There is a control of external variable. External variable is controlled in an effective manner. External variable is controlled in an effective manner due to systematic manipulation of IV to ensure that there is object measurement of dV. If you write this sentence whenever there is a question of experimental design initially only, that is enough to suggest to the examiner that you have understood the essence of experimental design. And then there won't be any need of writing so many other jargons. Now, because of this design, IV-DV cause and effect relationship and controlling the external variable through the randomization process where the subjects are assigned to either control group or experimental group in a very randomized manner. What we are doing? There is a high degree of internal validity. What does internal validity mean? That is the process of experiment is valid. We intend to measure what we are supposed to measure. What is validity of an experiment? Validity of a test, which we will study later on. Validity of the test says that we are measuring what we are supposed to measure. The test is measuring intelligence if it is supposed to measure the intelligence. Stanford Binet, Simon Binet intelligence test should not measure creativity, it should measure intelligence only. That is internal validity. That is internal validity is related to the intention. What is your intention? When you are saying that lots of unnecessary useless material has been provided to the psychology students to waste their life, it is not ethical. What is the intention here? Intention is to see the good of the students so that the students get benefited. So internal validity is high. What about the external validity? What is external validity? If you look at the lab setting, lab based controlled setting, in a lab based control setting, the environment of the experiment does not match with the real life setting. That is, if there are disadvantaged learners, look at the movies like Slumdog Millionaire. You may include the program learning in their curriculum, but who is the teaching agent? The way they are staying in the low socioeconomic status, it is affecting their nutrition, it is affecting their IQ level, it is affecting they are not having the motivation, they are having external locus of control, that is Bhagwan Bharose approach. They are not having the self-esteem and confidence to take on the world. In that situation, there may not be that performance may not be high. But there are people like Elon Musk who was there in the distressing situation, a disadvantaged situation, but still they performed better. So real life situations are much better than, much different than the lab setting. So the external validity of these kind of experiments, external validity of lab based controlled experiments, experimental design is very less. Internal validity is very high because it's an experimental setup. So our intention is good. In case of my supposition that unnecessary material is being given, its external validity is also very high because in reality what is happening, only small precise material is required. The examiner is asking you applied questions, only 10 marker, 15 marker, 20 marker. Even in 20 marker there are 2-3 parts of the question. Where is the utility of so much of stuff which is given? Where it is? Nobody will ask you to write an essay on attitude. Even if they ask, that material is not useful. Just giving an instance. So to summarize what points we have gathered, one is your IVDV, cause and effect, relationship establishment. Two is your randomization, and through that EV control. Three, high internal validity. Four, low external validity. External validity. Experimental design over. Example of experimental design? Any example? What is example? Pavlov's CC, classical conditioning experiment. In Pavlov's classical conditioning experiment, what is happening? There is a lab setting. It's not a real life situation. The dog is there chained. Meat powder is brought. Dog starts salivating. Meat powder is associated with the bell. First the bell is rung, then the meat powder is produced. After some time, even if the bell is rung, dog starts salivating because of the continuous pairing of the unconditioned stimulus with the conditioned stimulus. The response is conditioned for the conditioned stimulus is also able to produce the same kind of response which was produced for unconditioned stimulus. Classical conditioning. Why is it classical conditioning? Because at the end of the day, what is IV? IV is ringing of bell. What is DV? Salivation. Because of the ringing of bell, salivation is happening. All other factors, what is the noise around, what is the lighting situation, the IQ of the dog, the breed of the dog, the owner of the dog, the way the bell is rung, the quality of the bell, everything is neutralized, controlled. These are all your external variable. See, there are so many variables around in the environment. Some of them are confounding variable, CV. Which are there in the environment which may affect DV. We are not bothered about each and every variable which is there in the environment, but there are certain variables which we are bothered about, and it may affect IV-DV relationship. The researcher tries to control that. By continuous pairing of this and so many repeated trials, the effect of external variable is neutralized. As if the researcher here, Pavlov, thought that when the bell is rung, that is the gap between ringing of bell and production of meat powder. Ringing of bell and presentation of meat powder. What is the gap between that? So the researcher, that is Pavlov, made various arrangements. First the bell ringing was done, after that meat powder came. He reversed the order. First meat powder was presented, then bell was rung. Both were done simultaneously. All the effects were seen. Then the experimenter realized that it is the forward conditioning. That is, first the bell is rung, bell ringing is done first, and then not after too much long, delayed conditioning is not there. Not much gap between bell ringing and presentation of meat powder, if it is there. Only with the optimum gap between these two, the real conditioning can be achieved. Done because various trials were done, association was created. This example you can write in experimental design without fear or guilt. And this we'll see in learning. So I am repeating this, trying to put it in your mind before we go into the cognitive psychology. Now we have seen experimental design. We'll move to another form of experiment or experimental design, which is called non-experimental design, NED. What is happening in non-experimental design? First of all, let us understand what is non-experimental design. Non-experimental design is nothing but a descriptive type of research done in a naturalistic setting through the method of observation. Descriptive research or naturalistic observation. What can be the example? Have you heard of this? Kuhler's monkey, insight learning. Kuhler studied an important and significant phenomena in psychology which is called insight learning. Insight. What did Kuhler do? There was a monkey. A monkey is there in his natural habitat. There is a bunch of banana hanging here. There are so many sticks lying around. Monkey wants to reach to the banana, but is unable to understand how to use these sticks. Monkey able to reach to banana. Another type of stick unable to reach to banana. As the time passes, somehow monkey realizes that if he uses two sticks, one stick there, another stick which can be fitted into this stick, the length of the stick will be so much that the banana can be reached. Suddenly, it's an aha moment. Aha. Suddenly the monkey knows it. Are there any factors? The answer is no. Is there any timeline? The answer is no. Why did the monkey got to know? We don't know. Because probably the monkey stayed with the problem for so long that there is a neurological loop inside the brain of monkey. The trace was completed. Monkey was able to understand the gravity, understand the complexity of the problem, as what happens with us. We while preparing for JEE, IIT JEE, it used to happen with me, a very tough problem of I.E. Irodov, one of the toughest books of physics. And if we talk about the rotational dynamics, these are the complex things. Not psychology is unnecessarily made rocket science. Rotational dynamics, very tough question. Saw the question once, tried to solve it, could not solve. Twice, thrice, got frustrated. Now saw that the time to take bath. Went out. What is this? Shower. Water falling. Taking bath. Suddenly it comes to mind that okay, along with the force formula, this coordinate geometry was also to be used. Suddenly it comes to mind. Aha moment. Eureka moment. This observation, not that in the naturalistic setting monkey is made to bath. No. That is unethical. But this observation is being done by Kuhler. This is Kuhler's monkey. The experiment was done by Kuhler. Kuhler is observing it. Observation in naturalistic setting. It is like Bigg Boss. Trying to see how they behave when they all stay together. Initially they all behave very well with each other in the Bigg Boss setup. All the participants are very well behaved, but later on when they see that we have settled here, they start showing their color. Likewise here also, Kuhler's monkey, after it stayed with the problem for so long, the neurological loop inside the brain got completed and monkey was able to crack the code. This happens with the UPSC examination also. But what is happening here? Only observation is being done. There is no non-experimental design characteristics are no IV manipulation, no IV manipulation, because IV itself is not there. What is independent variable we don't know in the Euler's monkey case. What could we have? Researcher is not bothered about that. Researcher does not want to establish relationship between the factor which could have caused creative solution. Researcher is only observing. There are people, bystander effect, you must have seen. In the streets of Warren, lots of mobile snatching. Other problems, dog bites, people, police, other people just watching. Bystander effect, bystander. They are bystander. Likewise, the experimenter here is bystander. Experimenter is not interested to establish any cause and effect relationship. That's why there is no IV manipulation. But since it is done in a naturalistic setting, its external validity is very high. It is done in a naturalistic setting. So this is how it happens in naturalistic setting. Its validity is very high. Whatever was observed was truthful, was valid. These two primary things define the non-experimental design, because there is no IV manipulation, so there is no objective IVDV measurement, there is no control of external variable. The only primary goal of the researcher is to observe it in a naturalistic setting. What else can be the example of such research, non-experimental design or non-experimental research? Something which is called correlation research. What is correlation research or correlational research? When the researcher is trying to see the covariability of two different variables. Covariability. What is covariability? Suppose this is your IQ, this is the academic performance. Different people have different IQ, and if in academic performance what we can keep? Grade point, CGPA, cumulative grade point, aggregate, CGPA, SGPA, or percentage of marks, to simplify it. For different, suppose a person with 80 IQ have 7 or 70% marks. Person with 80% IQ, 80 IQ, 70 IQ, 80 IQ has 8 or 80% marks. Likewise, we plot this for various people. We will have this kind of plot. IQ, percentage of marks. For various people, we have this kind of plot. This plot is called scatter plot. If we make a summary of this plot, what can be done? If you want to make a summary of this plot, the line which will summarize this plot. Can we sketch a plot like this? The line from which most of the points will pass through. So there is a positive correlation between IQ and percentage of marks. IQ correlates with the percentage of marks positively. If there is a straight line like this, there is a strong and positive correlation between IQ and percentage of marks. Simple. These kind of research are non-experimental research or non-experimental design. Now we come to another format, quasi or quasi experimental research or quasi experimental design. What happens in quasi experimental design? The only factor which defines quasi experimental design is there is no random assignment. No random assignment. Of subjects into various groups. Subjects are not assigned into random groups. How? Why? Because there is a pre-existing group. They are assigned to a pre-existing group. The group made by the researcher. Why the random assignment is not done? Because it may not be feasible. It may not be ethical. Suppose the researcher wants to study the effect of a particular kind of music on pregnant women. Can there be random assignment? Definitely not. There will be two groups, pre-existing groups. One group will be women, those who are not pregnant, another group, the women who are pregnant. They will listen to the music and their changes in the behavior will be seen. There is a pre-existing group. There is no feasibility. Suppose the researcher wants to study the effect of brain damage on the cognition, the way people think. Can the researcher deliberately go and break the skull of the person? Break your head? Can the researcher do it? Is it ethical? The answer is no. So there is a pre-existing group on which the experimenter will be done. How the experiments take place in this? Suppose the researcher wants to study the effect of mnemonics. Mnemonic technique. Suppose we want to understand the principles of effective management. So we can make a short form. Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, reporting, budgeting. You need not remember this, I am just showing you an example. Or mathematics technique, BODMAS, bracket of division, bracket of division, multiplication and subtraction, addition and subtraction. In short form, BODMAS. These are called mnemonics. So we want to study the mnemonic techniques utility in improving the memory of somebody who is suffering from amnesia. What is amnesia? The inability to retrieve and recall previously learned information is called amnesia. Forgetfulness, याददाश्त का चले जाना, which used to happen in old Bollywood movies. Every second or third movie had somebody losing his memory. Beautiful actor got married to one handsome guy, in an accident lost memory, got attracted to another handsome man, on the verge of marriage suddenly met another accident, the memory got back, were able to recall each and everything, in a dilemma now. Very good case study, ethical dilemma. What will you do? There have been cases when people have forgotten, or they lost all sense of what happened to them earlier after meeting the accident, or they thought that the person will not come back. They got married happily, living in the marriage situation. The person from the past comes back. Ethical dilemma, what to do now? So in the amnesia, what will the effect of mnemonics? Now we cannot create amnesic people. There is a existing group. So what we will do? This is the group. Are people who are not given any mnemonic techniques, and they are asked to recall what they studied a day before, one day before. Their performance is noted, how many words they were able to recall. This is the list of words. They are shown this list of words and they are asked, how many can you recall? Please tell me. What they do, they are able to recall 5 words out of 20. Now the same group is given mnemonic technique. Mnemonic. They are asked to recall the number of words. They are able to recall 11 words out of 20. What is this called? Nothing but pre-test, post-test design. What is pre-test? Before the inclusion of the mnemonic techniques. Post-test after the inclusion of the mnemonic techniques. Their performance is seen. 11 here, 5 here. The difference is of 6 words. A remarkable feat, a remarkable improvement. That is why it is seen that mnemonic is a better way. Researcher is able to establish this, that the mnemonic had an effect, but randomization cannot be done here. So we finish our ED, NED, QED in a significant manner, understanding the concepts, understanding the utility, example, its merits and demerits also. You can measure the merits and demerits based on the cause and effect relationship, the external and internal validity. That will suffice the points. Now we'll come to another topic mentioned in the syllabus and an topic also, which is called your brainstorming, which needs to be done. Brainstorming, storming your brain. What is brainstorming? Brainstorming as a technique was devised in a factory setting, in an industrial setting, when it was seen that a group of people are sitting either face to face or online. Face to face, physical presence or online presence. Online also they may be, when they are able to see each other and they are asked to produce creative ideas. What these people do? They produce, create great ideas. Without judging or criticizing. Great ideas are created. This is the basic assumption that every idea is a great idea. Howsoever useless, howsoever indirect, howsoever absurd it might appear, but it's a great idea. There is no judgment involved here. Every idea is respected. Everybody produces these ideas in the group. The basic essence of brainstorming is to produce ideas without judging the utility of the idea. We don't see who produced the idea. Like what happens if there is a senior who is producing an idea, the junior will always say, "Sir, very good idea. What an idea, Sirji." If a person who is low in the rank gives you a very good idea, you will say, "What nonsense." Or suppose in a group sitting, people are sitting there, everybody is producing one or the other idea. You may ask the person, "What kind of idea have you given?" What kind of idea have you given? These ideas don't work. I am asking you idea how to go from Sarojini Nagar market to Rajendra Nagar. You are telling me to call a chopper or call a helicopter? Where do you think the helicopter will land? Such kind of absurd idea. Even if there are absurd ideas, these are not criticized. The basic essence is this. Certain important characteristics of brainstorming. First and foremost, here quantity becomes important. Quantity over quality. What does it mean? People don't respect the quality of the idea, but they respect the number of ideas produced. The basic assumption is that when a lot of ideas are produced, there will be some creative ideas also. As I told you in the insight learning, creativity learning, creativity has different ways. One is your aha moment, Suddenly you get to know, okay, this is correct. Another one is your producing so many ideas. What happens when I suggest that you should write essay? A wonderful essay can be written if you are in a habit of writing, jot down all the ideas. After writing so much of ideas, few of them will be definitely creative. This is what we are looking at. Producing n number of ideas, infinite number of ideas, without even worrying whether this idea works for the topic or not. This is called brainstorming. But brainstorming generally is not done alone. It is done in a group, and it has its limitation, which we'll see later. Quantity over quality. Quantity over quality. What the lifestyle and the choice of the Gen Z youngsters of today's generation, those who are fresh out of college, you see their idea, they will always choose quantity over quality. How many friends they have? 5,000 in Facebook, 10.1 million followers on Instagram. If you ask them, how many of them are known to you? Very few. How many of them are civil servants? None of them. How many of them are looking to go abroad? No, nobody. Quality, zero. But so many there. Likewise in the brainstorming. Today's youth are also attracted by this. Some people are driven by this approach. How much money? Worth 2000 crore. How much peace you have? Mental peace? Zero. Like the valuation of startup nowadays. What is the valuation? $2,500 billion. Utility in the market? Zero. How much profit? Zero. How much loss? Too much. So many of the startups, let me tell you the clarity, because that is also in our syllabus. Most of the startups are under a huge deficit and loss. Huge losses. They are recurring huge losses. 700 crore, 750 crore, 2,500 crore. That kind of losses they are going through. Quantity over quality, because they are not looking at the quality. Approach of the civil service coachings. Too much of matter given. 500 page one booklet given in a written format in the class notes. 8 booklets. 4,000 pages. You are very happy. What does psychology taught? So beautifully taught psychology. Where is psychology, man? Tell me. If I ask you the difference between gestaltist and behaviorist, you are not able to tell me. What kind of teaching is this? This is the approach with, this is the darkness, this is the noise which we will definitely try to cut down. They have a syllabus. Civil service have a syllabus. Civil service has a previous year question bank. They have a particular direction. This is not a notion, of course, that anything under the sun will be asked. No, that is not true. What is definitely true is that the students are being misled through this approach. Quantity over quality. Lots of ideas created. Here the basic assumption is that by having lots of ideas, some ideas will be useful. That's the basic assumption. What else happened? Deferment of judgment. That is, when the ideas are produced, its utility is not seen. They just see, this is the idea, okay, this is the idea. Not even okay said. Idea created, okay. Idea created, fine. So many ideas created by one person, then another person's turn. He will also create idea, another person's turn. Those who are sitting in the round circle, this person created so many ideas, then another person, ideas, another person, ideas, no judgment done. Judgment will be done later on. Its utility is there or not later on. Correct direction or not later on. So, subjects who are involved in the brainstorming are of then there is freewheeling. What is freewheeling? What is the meaning of freewheeling? Same thing, ideas are being created. They are absurd idea, no problem, keep creating. If you ask a toddler to write an essay on cow, not the toddler, when the child starts writing, child is able to understand few things that you are asking him or her to write an essay on cow. He or she understands what the cow is, but not able to give the complete characteristics. The toddler may be giving so many absurd points, but you will not judge. There is freewheeling of ideas. Absurd ideas, or any sort of idea, good, bad, absurd, whatsoever it might be, it keeps on getting produced till the time it gets exhausted. When the participants say now it's over, now we cannot create more ideas, now it's over, please let us go home, please free us, now we have produced so many ideas, we are tired, we want to go home. Till that time there won't be any judgment. After that, combination of ideas will take place. Fourth characteristics, the ideas after being generated, when all the ideas have been exhausted, now combination of ideas will be done. Combination, one idea produced by Mr. X, another idea produced by Mr. Y, they may be combined. It happens only after the ideas get exhausted, not before that. Before that, idea after idea, idea after idea, freewheeling idea. Without judging. Then, mainly what we have seen here is, one is your quantity, which is more important, judgment, then freewheeling, what does freewheeling mean? That howsoever absurd the idea might be, that gets produced. Then ideas are combined or can be combined. These are the characteristics, the four important characteristics of brainstorming. No, everything is fine with my eyes. Some light fluctuation might. So what we are doing, quantity of ideas, as many ideas as they can produce. Then the judgment is deferred, there is no judgment. Then it is not seen whether this idea is having any utility, absurdity whatsoever. The freewheeling of ideas is ensured, that people keep on producing ideas, one person after the another. Then the ideas are combined later on at a later stage. The combination of these ideas produces certain creative ideas. creative ideas get birth because of combination of ideas produced by many subjects. They produce the ideas, these ideas are combined, and this gives the combination of creative ideas. This is the process. Now, what are the types of brainstorming? Types of BS, slang which is used for talking nonsense. As people do the time pass, they waste their time, they do the BS. Here what is BS? Brainstorming. Brainstorming which will produce creative ideas. Okay, so there may be one type is face to face. Now face to face can be physical face to face or online. Either it is physical versus or online. Online people are present in the meeting, that's also face to face, that they can see each other. Then there can be, now when these people are present face to face, they are speaking up the ideas. Online they are speaking up the ideas, being noted by a moderator, or they can write the idea. Written can again be in a physical format or electronic. Either it is a physical format or electronic format. Face to face, written. Face to face speaking, verbal. Writing it or in form of drawing. Third format is visual. Visual can again be in form of giving a sketch or a diagram. Ideas can be produced by verbally speaking about the idea, writing it down, or creating a sketch. Visual, auditory, written or visual. Three formats. They may be in physical presence of people or online. Either there may be physical presence of people or it may happen online. What are the merits of brainstorming? Demerits. There is not much to explain about the types because you understand either it may be in a verbal format or a written format or a visual format. There is nothing much to understand there. Only thing is that it may be physical presence of subjects or maybe online presence. What are the demerits of the brainstorming? One and the most primary demerit is production blocking. Production blocking. What is production blocking? As I told you, the brainstorming takes place in an orderly format. That is, people are sitting here in a circle. Now one person starts producing the ideas either in a written format or in a verbal format. Suppose they are supposed to speak about the idea. The moderator is here who is noting down everything. Moderator is noting down everything. This person is speaking. While this person is speaking, another person is silent. His turn will come after some time. During this time, when this person is waiting, by that time his store of ideas may get exhausted. or this person may feel fatigued or bored. So when his chance comes, he won't be able to produce the idea. If they are all writing the ideas in a simultaneous manner, then this production blocking will not happen. So first is your production blocking. Blocking of the production of ideas because of the wait period. What else can be there? Although people are told that there won't be any evaluation, but still there is apprehension, fear. Apprehension of evaluation. People may feel that my ideas will be evaluated, and because they have the evaluation apprehension, they may not produce ideas. Or they may feel, they may judge their idea in their own mind, make fun of me. There may be a case, another demerit is that when there are so many people, there is social loafing, which is a very valid and important scenario. When there are so many people, suppose a child is there and there are so many caregivers, one caregiver thinks that the other person will take, that person thinks that the first person will take care of the child. In that case, the child is actually not given any care. Thinking that the other person will take the responsibility of the child makes the case of social loafing. It happens in the case of when there are so many people watching a situation in a crowd. Apart from the fact that they think that I am not responsible, nobody will take the responsibility, they also think that why should I go for help? The other person will help. This is the same thing which is happening in the social loafing case. They think that other person will produce the ideas, I don't need to produce, so they don't produce any idea. They are just watching. Then there may be a pressure to conform. When so many ideas are produced, there may be a case when people may think that others are supporting the idea of Hari. Mr. Hari's idea are being supported, so I should also support Hari's idea. When finally all the ideas are produced, when all the ideas are produced, and they are combining the ideas for creating the creative ideas, for ensuring that we have the creative ideas, they may think that okay, Hari's ideas are popular, so I should also support Hari's ideas. There is no critical evaluation of Hari's ideas. Conformity pressure. You must have seen this experiment, Asch experiment. In that, I told you earlier, there is a group of participants who a light dot, which is there in the wall. All the aspirants, all the participants say that the light is moving. So this participant who comes in the last say that yes, the light is moving, although the light is not moving. These people who say that the light is moving are experimenters confident. That is, they are told by this to say that the light is moving by the experimenter. Conformity bias, conformity pressure. The same thing happening in the brainstorming as well. Now, since there are so many demerits, how to overcome that? How to overcome these demerits? First and foremost, rather than having physical brainstorming meetings, have electronic meetings. In that, there won't be any production blocking. People will not have to wait for the other person to produce the idea, then their turn will come. They will start producing the ideas simultaneously in the electronic meeting. They will not have the social laughing. They will not feel embarrassed that my idea may be evaluative. They will not have apprehension, no fear in electronic meeting. Then the instructions must be clear. Clear instructions must be given to the participants. That see, whatever idea you produce, your idea will not be evaluated. Whatever idea you produce, nobody will say that it is absurd. They should be told that once your ideas are exhausted, then only the feedback will be given. Your ideas will be combined to produce a novel situation, a creative idea. So you need not fear, need not worry. The moderator should encourage diversity and dissent. This is the most important thing to include. Apart from the fact that the moderator has given others clear instructions that your ideas will not be evaluated, it will not be judged. The moderator should sensitize everyone that we have to encourage diversity. That is, howsoever absurd the idea might appear, whosoever has given it, we have to respect it, not give any judgment, neither say that it is good nor say that it is bad. Then dissent must be encouraged, that there is no conformity bias, there is no conformity pressure, that you have to conform to these ideas. They have to encourage dissent. What is dissent? That even if Mr. Hari is senior most person, his ideas are good, but if somebody is giving a dissent, somebody is opposing to his ideas, respected. It should not be hierarchical. Should not be hierarchical. That is very important. This summarizes the brainstorming. One thing which you all should understand, the basic core, the theme of brainstorming lies in the fact that brainstorming thinks or brainstorming assumes that the ideas produced by the group is more than the ideas produced by one individual. The number of ideas, quantity is more than the quality. That is, quantity of idea is more important. Number of people are more important. Quantity of ideas are more important. These two assumptions have been vehemently challenged by other theorists who believe that an individual, suppose an individual goes to Andaman, goes to Goa, takes a very good suite in the lap of nature, as I say, in the lap of nature, as people take staycation. I take many a time the staycation, sitting with your laptop or a book in front of the beach, cool breeze is there, sumptuous food is presented to you, in the serenity of the environment, you produce ideas, You are away from the hullabaloo of the orchards, a hullabaloo of the people, noise is not there. You are able to produce ideas. One single person producing brilliant ideas, rather than a crowd, a group of people. Then the quantity of idea definitely is not important. As I quote you from the leaders, business leaders who say, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, they say, during the day, I take only 4 quality decisions. Bill Gates takes, he keeps on solving problems. He is a problem solver, born problem solver. He keeps on reading and problem solving. This is what his duty is. Bill Gates. But during the whole day, he takes one decision, one good quality decision. You see, your life, what happens? You are one decision away, one single decision away from an altogether different life. I just give my example. I was approached by one of the finest coachings. They say that you stay here and you do teaching for us. We'll be giving this money, although most of them are frauds. What they say and what they do is a huge difference between them, however big their brand is. I decided why to work for anyone. Let's work for myself. One decision. Change the way you live your life. You have peace. You are the master of your own time. You are doing things on your own way because you understand that the ethics, the ethical conduct from the standpoint of student says that you should give the precise material which is focused for the examination rather than wasting their time. You live by that dictum. Say it vociferously, forcefully, without fear of error. One decision. So the quality of the decision making, quality of the idea is more important than the quantity of the idea. A single person can definitely produce a much better idea than the group of people. Brainstorming has a utility in social science research. When we have to solve a local problem, the problem is localized. Very less confined geographical, confined extent, small problem. And we have diversity in the participants. We can see that there is diversity. We can go through this approach. We can use this approach. But this will not be an exclusive or only approach. We will combine this with other methods. Which other methods? FGD, focus group discussion, and grounded theory approach. Focused group discussion is a different format from brainstorming. Grounded theory is an altogether different idea. But these all are combined. When a psychological research is done, these all are combined. These are all qualitative form of research. They don't believe in quantity. They are going to solve a qualitative problem. Whether the way cleanliness is being done, whether Swachh Bharat Abhiyan has met its goals or not, should we follow Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or not, these questions are addressed through these methods. Brainstorming, grounded theory. We will see the specific ideas under focused group discussion and grounded theory tomorrow. Tomorrow class will be 6:30 p.m. But as the days are becoming shorter, and I am also occupied with so many other things to expand the business, which is important for the convenience of many of the aspirants who are somehow lost in the noise of the big brands. It calls for me to focus not only the part of psychology, that I am going to be involved in the publication of certain material which will be useful for many of the aspirants. Will be changing the timings 4:30 to 6:30, but after 1 or 2 days only. If any of you have any suggestions regarding this timing, or you feel difficulty, you can let me know. We will meet tomorrow with focus group discussion and grounded theory approach. Apart from that, we will start our chapter 1, psychological measurement of individual differences, and then we will go to the research methods, where we will understand the statistical tools, but in a much better manner than the way it is covered at various places. Thank you very much. Good night. We'll meet tomorrow.